In 1971, 24 young men agreed to spend 2 weeks in a basement. They were paid $15 a day. 6 days later, the study had to be shut down before it broke them completely. None of them had done anything wrong. They were college students, healthy, normal, carefully screened to be the most stable, ordinary people you could find. The only thing that separated them was the flip of a coin. Some were told they were guards, some were told they were prisoners. And that single word was enough to turn kind young men into something cruel. The question is not who they were. The question is which one you would have become. You think you'd stay kind. So did they. The man behind it was Philip Zimbardo, a psychologist at Stanford University. The year was 1971, and he wanted an answer to a question that had haunted psychology since the war. When good people do evil things, is it because they are bad people? Or is it because of where they are and who they've been told to be? To find out, he built a prison. In the basement of the Stanford Psychology building, a corridor became a cell block. Offices became cells. A closet became solitary confinement. They called it the hole. He placed an ad in the local paper, $15 a day, for a 2-week study of prison life. 75 people answered. Zimbardo screened them all and chose 24 the healthiest, the most normal, the ones with no history of violence or crime. Then he flipped a coin for each of them, guard or prisoner. No one chose. It was pure chance. Here's what the prisoners experienced. On a quiet Sunday morning, real police cars pulled up to their homes. Real Palo Alto officers arrested them in front of their neighbors, charged with armed robbery, handcuffed, and driven away with the sirens on. They were booked, blindfolded, and brought to the basement. There, they stopped being people. Their clothes were taken. They were given a smock with a number on it and told they would only be called by that number, never their name. A chain was locked around one ankle. A stocking cap covered their hair. Everything designed to do one thing: erase the person and leave only the prisoner. The guards got a costume too: khaki uniforms, wooden batons, and mirrored sunglasses so no one could ever see their eyes. Zimbardo gave them one instruction: you cannot hit the prisoners, but you can make them feel powerless. You can make them feel afraid. The first day was awkward. Grown men playing dress-up in a fake jail, half of them embarrassed. It looked like it might fail. And then something shifted. On the second morning, the prisoners rebelled. They ripped off their numbers, barricaded the door, and mocked the guards. And the guards, these ordinary students, did not laugh it off. They took it personally. They stormed the cells with fire extinguishers, blasting the prisoners back. They stripped them naked. They dragged the ringleaders into the hole. And then they got clever. They built a privilege cell for the obedient prisoners, better food, beds back to turn the prisoners against each other. It worked. Solidarity collapsed, and the guards learned that they had power. From there, it accelerated. Counts in the middle of the night, just to break their sleep. Push-ups with a guard's foot on their back. Buckets in the cells instead of bathroom trips, until the whole block smelled of it. Humiliation that got more inventive, more personal, every single shift. But here is the part that should disturb you. No one ordered them to do any of this. There was no script for cruelty. The guards invented it themselves, and the most brutal ones did it with a kind of enthusiasm. Within 36 hours, the first prisoner broke. Number 8,612 began screaming, crying, thinking in ways he couldn't control. At first, they thought he was faking to get out. He wasn't. He was released, the first of several who came apart within days. And the man watching over all of it? He was breaking too, in a way no one noticed. Zimbardo had given himself a role, prison superintendent, and somewhere in those 6 days, he stopped being a scientist studying a prison. He became a man running one. When a prisoner asked to quit, Zimbardo negotiated with him like a warden, not a researcher. When there was a rumor of an escape, he spent a day trying to stop a breakout from an experiment he could have ended with a single word. More than 50 people came through that basement and saw what was happening. Not one of them said stop. Until one did. Her name was Christina Maslach, a young psychologist brought in to interview the participants. She walked down into the basement, saw the prisoners being marched to the toilet with bags over their heads, and she was horrified. That night, she told Zimbardo the truth he had stopped being able to see. "What you are doing to these boys is terrible." 50 witnesses, one person willing to say it out loud. The next day, Zimbardo ended the experiment. 6 days into a study that was meant to last 2 weeks. Now, decades later, we know the story is messier than the legend. We've learned the guards were encouraged to be tough, that some were playing a part they thought was wanted. Critics say it was never the clean, spontaneous descent it was sold as. But look closer, and that doesn't make it comforting. It makes it worse, because it means this: give an ordinary person a uniform, a role, and quiet permission, and they will supply the cruelty themselves. You don't have to force it. You just have to allow it. That is the uncomfortable truth Zimbardo stumbled into. We like to believe that character is fixed, that a good person stays good, in any room, in any uniform. But the situation is stronger than we admit. Put a decent human being inside a system that rewards cruelty and hides their face, and the system, more often than not, will win. You have felt the edge of this. The account with no name where you said something you never would in person. The group that turned on someone while you stayed quiet. The job where a thing you knew was wrong became just the policy, and you carried it out because that was your role. The mirrored sunglasses don't have to be real. Anytime no one can see your eyes, a different version of you gets a little braver. The prisoners weren't weak. The guards weren't monsters. They were you split down the middle by a coin and handed 2 different costumes. Philip Zimbardo didn't prove that some people are cruel. He showed something far more unsettling, that cruelty is often not a person, but a place, a role, a set of rules that whispers, "In here, the normal ones don't apply." The basement is still open. It's every uniform that tells you you're not responsible, every screen that hides your face, every group that makes a terrible thing feel normal because everyone around you is doing it too. The experiment didn't really end in that basement. It just moved upstairs, into the rest of the world. So the next time you feel a role starting to wear you, the moment the rules of some room start to feel bigger than your own conscience, remember that the whole thing was stopped by one person who refused to look away. 50 people saw it. One of them said no. Which one would you have been, and be honest? Tell me in the comments. And if you want to understand the experiments that reveal who we really are, this is the human experiment. I'll see you in the next case.